Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I am your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode of the podcast. This week, my guest is Michelle from the Secret Owl Society, and Michelle is doing a lot more than just Etsy. So I'm really excited to have her on the podcast and talk about all what she's doing in addition to Etsy, but all which stems from Etsy. And once we get into our conversation, you'll understand that a lot of what I talk about on the podcast about Etsy being a tool in your toolbox really relates to Michelle's story. So Michelle, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yes, thank you. So before we start, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am 29 years old. I've recently moved to Tennessee, and before this point in time, I was doing a lot of traveling around the world. I run an online business. I have been self-employed practically ever since I was able to work, and recently have been able to completely, basically generate a full-time income from my business. And a big part of that was the momentum I got on Etsy.
Wow. Okay. So I can't wait to jump into it because I read a bit about you, but I'm going to ask you questions like I don't know because I want others to learn more about you too. And I just want to give a shout out to, and I hope I say her name correctly, Christy Childs. I found you through her YouTube channel. I don't know what I was doing on YouTube one day, watching Etsy videos, and she was talking about you and your product, Passive Income with Printables. And so from there, I went to your website, read your story and all whatnot. So shout out to Christy. I will link to Christy's YouTube channel so others can go and check out what Christy is doing. And she has an Etsy shop as well, or a couple. I will link to them also so you can check out what Christy is doing on Etsy. But let's go back to the beginning. How and when did you first discover Etsy?
I don't remember the exact point that I discovered it, but I was aware of it as a place where you could buy handmade items. And as far as me using it to sell my own products, I had started making printables about 6 years ago for myself as a way to organize myself, create my own planners, create my own checklist boxes and lists and all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I could put these things up on Etsy and just see what would happen. And that's literally all I did. And when sales started happening, it took me a period of 18 months before I really started to look at it as, at first it was, I have an extra $2 here, an extra $3 there to like go buy myself a latte, to really realizing that if I take this seriously, it could be a great source of passive income. So at first it was just kind of like a hobby, like just throwing up my little printables that I was making for myself and then just making it available for other people to buy, to really looking at how I could make real money from it.
Mm. One of the things I like that I read when I read your story, and I will link to Michelle's website. It's secretowlsociety.org. I will link directly to that so you can go check out her website as well. Is you said it came to a point where you realized you had just lived the same year twice, and that was an eye-opener for you. Mm-hmm. At that point, what changed that made you want to rewrite your whole story?
It's funny because that's the line that everyone remembers from my story because
so
it just resonates with people.
Yes.
Yeah. That instance, I was working in a coffee shop and I realized that I had just lived the same year twice. I was standing there making bread, realizing I was here last year with the same thoughts, the same problems, the same life, the same issues, the same activities, and nothing is different, nothing is better, everything's just mediocre. Mm-hmm. And that was when I decided that I would take myself to a different coffee shop and sit down every Saturday night to think about, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my week? Where am I going? What do I want? And that is where I started making printables for myself, because I am a paper girl. I love to set goals and plan. And I just had this need to create templates that I could use to plan out my own life. Mm-hmm. And that's really where it started. It started with me helping myself help myself. And then it turned into, I could actually share this with other people.
Okay. Now, let's talk about that Etsy seller who is listening right now and is struggling with their product or their product line. What's your school of thought? Is it better to look inwardly to figure out what might make a good product based on what one's own need is? Or do you think it's better to do market research to see what is actually selling well and then try to cater to that audience that's actively buying on Etsy?
I think if you are driven by what is truly helping you, and you're driven by a desire to truly help other people, and, a lot of when you do have a desire to help other people, it's because you discovered something that helped yourself. Mm. And that from there, you can create an amazing product. And that's not to say that you can't create a product just by looking at what the market wants and then creating something that they want. A lot of people make a lot of money just by giving the market what it wants. Mm-hmm. But in the bigger scope of things, are you creating a business that you love, or are you just making money? Because one way is sustainable, the other is not. There's plenty of people that would make a lot of money and then realize that they don't love what they're doing, and then they have to completely scrap it and then try to find something that they do love and basically start all over again. So it's almost like you are taking longer by slowing down to figure out what you are passionate about instead of trying to shortcut your way to the money. But in the long run, it's more sustainable, and you're able to build a really significant business on top of that, because you're coming up with ideas, you're excited, you're motivated, you're driven by passion. It's not just a product. It becomes a whole business.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Now, when you first got onto Etsy, did you think that there was enough potential on the platform to really make a living? Even though in the beginning it didn't look that way when you first opened up your shop. But what made you stick it out?
I could see other people that were, and there weren't a lot of people selling printables 5 years ago compared to now. But that's not to say that competition is something to be afraid of, because if you are following, tapping into what makes you you and what you're passionate about and your unique style and your unique perspective, then you don't have any competition. But 5 years ago, I noticed other printable sellers who were doing very, very well. One person in particular was Mai Carles, who's from Panama or someplace like that. And this little woman from this faraway place had created her own kit of printables and put it up on Etsy and made $75,000 in 1 year. So I knew it was possible. And I just tried to learn from her. I bought her printable kit and I was using it, and I was just open to the possibility and the opportunity that was there. And I wasn't trying to copy her or just I need to make this, happen for me. I just knew that it was possible, and I allowed it to happen for me versus trying to compete with anyone or put pressure on myself to come up with something that would make that much money. I just literally created something that I was passionate about and decided to put it out there and just rolled with what happened.
Okay. All right. So when sales were initially not flooding in. What did you do to turn that ship around? A lot of sellers who, especially now with changes going on at Etsy, are concerned about slowing sales, or sales slowing down, I should say. What advice do you have? Is there anything in particular you would say to that seller who is experiencing that slowdown?
Well, I can only really say what worked for me. So that those first 18 months, I was creating the results of my expectations. I wasn't trying to make a lot of money. I wasn't expecting to make a lot of money. My whole mindset was, I'm just trying to see what happens. I'm just happy to make these $2 and $3 sales for this 1 or 2 page printable that I put up.
Yeah.
And when it came to that 18-month mark, and it's funny, it always takes 18 months to go from one decision to the next for whatever reason. So just by knowing that, you know that things take time and you need to give it time. But at that 18-month mark, I was suddenly in a position where I had to make more money. And because I had 2 trips coming up. I was going to fly to Europe and I was going to fly to the States, and these were back-to-back trips. And I did not want to go on these trips and come back broke. I wanted to be able to have a business where while traveling, it was still making money. I didn't have to worry about having to go home and start all over again. And so that kind of put the pressure on me to realize that I could actually do something with this Etsy store. And even though I'm saying, like, don't just be motivated by the money, be motivated by what you're passionate about, and the money will come. The pressure to have money forced me to make something out of my passion, which was creating these planner pages. And so in between taking care of clients, I was doing graphic design work, and I had a couple of clients. So in between taking care of them, I would work on this 27-page kit of different printables that I had put together to kind of help someone organize their whole life. So there was a printable for keeping track of their health, for keeping track of their budget, for keeping track of their week, for keeping track of their habits. And it was just all cohesively combined to, I called it the ultimate life binder. And it's funny because for years before that, I had been using the ultimate life binder system for myself, because when I had been sitting in that coffee shop on a Saturday night thinking about what am I doing with my life, I realized the need to have all these different printables and ideas in one cohesive place for me to actually track my progress. So I was diving into personal development and learning how to change my life, but I realized I need a way to track what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis. And so I put all these printables that I was making in a regular school binder, and I put these dividers into it. Like, this section is for my health. This section is for my business. This section is for planning out my day. And I was using this for myself, and people would look at it and be like, can you help me make a life binder? Can you help me make a life binder? And so the funny thing is that the thing that you are so natural at, and people are always asking you, how do you do that? Can you help me do it? And you're like, oh, it's nothing. It's so easy. That is the thing that will make you $1 million. And I had been using this life binder system for years, and it took that pressure of realizing I need to get serious and make some adult money now. And that made me realize that I needed to take something that I was already passionate about and turn it into something that other people could buy. Yeah. And that's all that I did. So I took like a month to create that product. And so I put that up on my Etsy store, and up to that point, I had only been selling printables that were 1 or 2 pages long for $2 or $3. And so this product was like 27 pages, and I was trying to figure out what to price it. And I heard somewhere that you need to price something just outside of your comfort zone. So I was thinking, oh, I feel comfortable charging $18, but that's in my comfort zone, so I'm going to charge $21.
Yeah.
And so I put it up for $21, and I marketed it to my email list. The other thing was I had a blog on the side where I was just sharing my journey of taking responsibility for my life. And my blog readers had actually told me, because I surveyed them and I said, what do you want from me? What can I put up on my blog that would interest you? What do you want to see more of? And a lot of them actually said, whenever you talk about your life binder thing, that's really interesting, but we don't have time to put together our own. Can you make something that we can buy? So that was another piece of the puzzle. Like all these signs that, Michelle, this thing that you have is what you need to turn into a product.
Yeah.
We're always around me, but we are so quick to discredit the things that we're good at because we feel like it's so easy, anyone can do it, but that's exactly the thing that you're a genius at, and you should make it your $1 million product. And so I marketed it to my email list, and right away it made $1,000 in sales that first month.
Whoa.
And that was incredible to me, because I had never made $1,000 passively ever. And I think at that time, this was over a couple years ago, I was basically only making $1,000 a month with all my other side projects I had going on. And here I just made $1,000 on top of my regular income just from this one digital product that I put up on Etsy and told my email list about. And it was passive income because it's a digital product. They buy it, they get sent the files automatically from Etsy, and I don't have to touch anything. And, the Etsy app has a great feature where every time you make a sale, it goes cha-ching. Like, so my phone would go cha-ching, cha-ching all day long. And so that was amazing. But then this following month, I realized I can't market this product to my email list again.
Yeah.
I have to put it in front of new people. And I had a decision to make, because it was either, I'm going to figure out what else I can make, and I'll sell that to my email list, and I'll keep making different things. But I remembered a quote from Denise Duffield Thomas where she said that women have a bad habit of thinking they need to put all these bells and whistles on their product, that it's not good enough, that they have to keep moving on to the next thing and they have to keep selling something else, when really you just need to take that one thing and sell it 100 different ways. And so I took that and I applied it to the Life Binder, where it's like, okay, I know that 1 million women would buy this product. They just don't know about it. And it's my job to tell them about it. And I realized that half of the work of this product was creating it, and the other half was going to have to be marketing it. A lot of people create the product and then they're done. They're waiting for it to sell. But it's like that was just the beginning. The real work is telling people about it. And so I decided to use Pinterest as my marketing platform. I knew that there's a lot of printable pins of printables on Pinterest. I knew that the type of people on Pinterest would be ideal, because when you go to Pinterest, you're looking for a solution. You're looking for, how can I make my life better? How can I improve this aspect of my home, my life, my schedule? It's very solution oriented audience. And so people on Pinterest are much more likely to buy from you, because that's the mindset that they have. They're shopping. And so I took the Life Binder, and every day, I committed that every day I'm going to do one thing to market this product on Pinterest. I didn't have a fancy marketing plan. I didn't try to think about Facebook ads or I didn't do anything complicated. It was just one thing every day to market this product on Pinterest. And that meant making a graphic, a pin that showcased the Life Binder and pinning it on Pinterest. And so I knew that there's 27 pages in this product. So I'm going to take each page and make a pin featuring that page. So if I took the meal planning page or the trip planning page, I would take a little picture of that particular page from the Life Binder, put it on this long pin. Underneath it, I would list all the different benefits of using that particular page. And then I would say, this is part of the Ultimate Life Binder kit. Click here, and then it would go to Etsy. And so I would, every day I just tried to make one more pin. And if I was too tired to make a pin, I would just repin an old pin, because that's good too, just repinning content. And the wonderful thing about Pinterest is that it's a search engine. So if someone goes on Pinterest and they're planning a trip and they type in trip or travel into the search bar, if your pin has the keywords travel, trip, vacation, you will appear in the search bar. They don't need to be your follower to see what you're pinning.
Oh, okay.
And then when they pin your content to their boards, all of their followers see it. So it creates a compound effect, a compound growth effect. And so I have pins on Pinterest for the Ultimate Life Binder that I made well over 2 years ago, but they are still getting pinned, and it's up to the last time I checked it, which was months ago, was one of those pins had over 50,000 repins.
Wow.
And so the Pinterest literally is my marketing machine. Like, I haven't done hardly anything in the last year and a half to market my products, because Pinterest is working for me. And for me, I'm very much a fan of passive income. So it's, even if you make a digital product, if you still have to do one thing every single day, year after year to market it, it's not passive.
Yeah.
If you set up the systems, and thank goodness Pinterest is kind of like an all-in-one system, you do that work up front, and then you don't have to do it anymore. So after that first 1 or 2 months of creating pins for my product and putting them on Pinterest, I literally haven't had to pin again for that product.
Really?
I'll go in once in a while and repin, but I haven't created any new content to pin for that product. And it's still, Pinterest is by far the #1 driver of traffic to my Etsy store. So I don't rely on Etsy itself to bring me customers. I created that flow myself through Pinterest. And I was going to say something else. The other thing is, Pinterest is a leverage machine. If you want leverage, if you want passive income, if you want to have a marketing machine going to work for you, then Pinterest paired with Etsy is the most amazing combination.
Michelle, I don't even know where to begin with with the questions that I have, just based on all what you said. I'm just so blown away. But I'll start from the beginning. Okay, so Pinterest, is it safe to say Pinterest is the only social media platform that you focused on to market your products?
Yes.
How confident were you that Pinterest was the right one for you? What went into making that decision to just stick with Pinterest?
I love using Pinterest, and I know that if people decided to focus on one platform, they will see success. It's not about picking the perfect platform. Yes, you do need to think about where does your ideal audience hang out, but it's about picking the platform you'll focus on. That means you'll like it, you will invest the time to learn about it. So even before I was using Pinterest really for business, I had already taken a course on how to succeed at Pinterest. Oh. So it's a lot of people try to figure out what's the perfect platform, and they end up hopping around.
Yeah.
But you probably have a platform that is your favorite. It's probably either Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest. And if you just pick one of those and focus on it and learn what it takes to be successful at any one of those, then it will end up being the perfect platform for you. So if I focused on Instagram, I could say today that Instagram is the #1 driver of traffic for me if I really focused on making that my reality. I just love Pinterest though because of the beauty of people repinning my content and that content being seen and never really going away. If you post something on Facebook or Instagram, it'll appear in the feed for a little while, but then as time passes, it doesn't get seen again and you have to keep reposting. Yeah. So my decision was partly motivated by the fact that I'm a fan of passive income. So that means that all my choices for how I structure my business and how I market my business has to have that value as a part of it. It can't just be like, oh, Facebook is what everyone's doing, I'm going to do it too. It has to be, what are the values that I am living by in this business? And does this choice support that value? Because if it doesn't, you're going to be out of alignment with your values and you're going to burn out. And if in the beginning of anyone's business, they are driving everything. So if the choices you're making are draining you, it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing you can do is build a sustainable business. Yeah. Because otherwise you could be really successful and then quit because you just can't do it anymore. Yeah.
You're preaching to me, Michelle. You are preaching to me. And I'll confess, I believe I've done social media wrong from the get-go because I was trying to be everywhere and I don't enjoy everywhere. And it's not sustainable, like you said, because one, I don't enjoy every single social media platform. And two, I haven't taken the time to master any. So I'm horrible at all of them. And the ones I don't like, I neglect. And the ones I do like, I just don't know what to do. So there is a lot of wisdom in what you're saying about picking one and just focusing on it and avoiding burnout and making sure you still enjoy what you're doing. Because if you're, like you said, trying to build a sustainable business, if you hate what you're doing every day, it's not going to last.
Mm-hmm. And a successful business is a business that lasts and grows.
Yes. So do you recall, if you don't mind sharing, what Pinterest course it was that helped you learn how to master that platform?
I bought it years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago. But it was Melanie Duncan's The Power of Pinning course. Okay. And it's a very good course. Okay. But there's more out there today.
Okay. And that one you said was by Melanie Duncan. I will link to that for anyone who wants to check that out. And like Michelle said, there are a lot out there because I know I've searched for some because I wanted to learn how to do Pinterest. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. How
Pinterest?
How to function on Pinterest. I wanted to learn. So I did buy a course as well. But like you said, I got distracted because I was trying to be everywhere. It's like, okay, well, now I want to learn Instagram, and then there's Facebook and Twitter. And so, I just didn't master anything. Now, you had printables, or you had a printables shop. So in my head, I feel like that translates well to the Pinterest platform. Do you think that will work as well for people who sell non-printable products to use Pinterest as their platform of choice for marketing?
Yes, because Etsy is very much lifestyle products and Pinterest is a lifestyle platform. So they go very well together. You just have to put thought into how your product is going to be a part of someone's lifestyle. So you're not just selling a product, you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling a solution, and you want to present it as such because if you go on Pinterest, you're going to see everything you see is either related to enhancing a person's lifestyle or offering them a solution. Mm-hmm. And if you can always take the shortcut of just taking whatever your product is and looking for similar products on Pinterest and seeing how they present it. Not so that you copy anybody, but so, there's just best practices to go by. And just like I said before, knowing that the opportunity is there and knowing that there's no such thing as competition if you're actually tapping into what makes you unique instead of trying to copy other people.
Yeah. Okay. And then, and I know on Pinterest, it's all about pinning to boards, and then you have your boards, and then there are group boards and all. So you spread yourself around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what I did, the main thing I did was I had a board that was 100% focused on printables. So I would pin other people's printables many, many, many more times than I would pin my own, so that I was creating this wealth of pins for people to go to as a resource, and for me to always be appearing as someone who's building up in this particular interest. So I'm always attracting people who are interested in printables. Okay. And that, Pinterest likes that. You get pushed out into the feed more. And when you have those followers, like, even though it's not 100% important to have a bunch of followers, but the more followers you have, when you do pin something that is of your own, and people like it, and they're following it, they like the pin that you pinned, they pin it to their own boards, and then voila, all their followers see it. So you're not just pinning your own content all the time. You are looking at yourself as a curator, and you are assembling all these pins onto a board for people who are of similar interest, and you are the person in charge of putting together that quality content for people.
Okay. Well, that helps. One of the things that you said was that you would pin a page from your binder each day. Did you have any concerns that someone who was following that particular board that you were printing, that you were pinning them to, might just collect all the pins from, the pages from your binder and then not buy your product?
Well, I wasn't pinning the actual page. I was taking a snapshot of it. So like a little image of it that even if they printed it out, it would be way too tiny to use. And so that was one way to protect myself. But even then, you kind of have to get rid of the fear of, what if someone does this? What if someone does that? What if someone takes my design? What if someone copies me? Yeah. Because what you're doing is you are building a business. Someone who is trying to build a business by copying other people will never have a business. They'll have a sale here and there, but they'll never have a business. And they're definitely not competition, because you're so far ahead of them that they can't even compete with you. If someone's copying you, they can't even compete with you. And I've had people copy my product, copy my title, copy the exact templates. But I don't worry about it, even though I am going through getting trademarks and copyrights in place. I don't worry about it because they're copying a printable. I'm creating a strategy. I'm creating a business. I'm creating an audience. I'm creating a brand. And my product is a part of this bigger picture. And if someone's copying your product, how is that a part of their bigger picture when your picture comes out of who you are and what you're all about? That can't be copied. So it'll never really fit into any momentum that they ever try to create. So the thing with Etsy for me is I'm not looking at Etsy as my business. Etsy is just a part of my business. Like you said earlier, a tool in my toolkit. I will update the products that I have there once in a while, but I'm already thinking beyond Etsy. I'm thinking about how am I getting my Etsy customers to go from buying the product to coming over to my website, to becoming a part of my audience, to becoming a subscriber of my club, a customer of my course. One of the things that I do is I created a private space just for the people that buy my Life Binder, so that when they buy it, they get a page as part of their downloads telling them, here's a secret link, go to this link and you'll be able to access this private space I created with videos for how to use your Life Binder, a community you can talk to. And so that is me thinking beyond Etsy, me thinking about what is the journey that I'm taking these customers on. I'm not just trying to make a sale and keep making sales. I'm trying to take that person and take them on a journey. And that journey begins at Etsy, but it definitely does not end there.
I love that. And you've taken me exactly where I wanted us to go. So you mentioned you have a society, and that's the Secret Owl Society. Is that only open to people who have purchased the Life Binder, or can people who have not purchased the binder join your community?
I have several products. So I have the SOS Club, which is just for people who pay to be a part of that club.
Okay.
And I take people through a 12-month journey of taking 100% responsibility for their life. We focus on one habit a month. And that is kind of like the ultimate pinnacle of being a part of my tribe. Is you join this society and you're part of this really intimate tribe that is all about what my blog's about, taking 100% responsibility for your life. So it's kind of like the end point of my journey. Okay. Before that, I have different products and offerings that help people move along through what I offer, and a lot of them are free things. So when people buy the Life Binder, the private space that they get access to is free, but it's only for those customers of the Life Binder, and it's called the Ultimate Life Binder Hub. It's basically a course platform that I turned into a hub of videos and extra printables that people who buy the Life Binder can sign into for free. And that allows me to collect the email and contact information of those customers. Because as you know, Etsy doesn't have easy way for you to just collect the contact information of all your customers. Like in the past, because I would update, one of the things I do is I update the Life Binder every year, and I give it away for free to the people that have bought the Life Binder in the past. So they every year they get the new update for free. And in the past, I would have to message each customer one by one saying, hey, I've created the new edition of the Life Binder. You get it for free. Click this link, go download it. And I would have to do that for hundreds of people and then thousands of people. And so I was in a position where I had to find a way to get those email addresses of my customers into my own hands so that I could just email everyone all at one time. And so this whole journey has been just a very organic process of solving one problem after another and realizing that by solving one problem after another, I'm creating an amazing business, because now I am giving extra value to these customers by having this Life Binder Hub where I can keep in touch with them as much as I want, and I can expose them to other things that I have, like my printables course or my SOS Club. And so I look at the Life Binder Hub as the second step in the journey of someone that had bought the Life Binder the Life Binder kit from Etsy.
Yeah. I love
So it's almost like
you
have to look at
together.
All your products and think about what comes after which one comes first, which one comes second, what is the journey that you're leading them down, and what is the ultimate thing that you want them to buy. So like Denise Duffield Thomas, I don't know if you know her. She's the Get Rich Lucky Bits lady. She's a millionaire. She has this one course that has all these people in it. She sells it for thousands of dollars or whatever. And she says that that is her thing. Like, she has other products, she has published books, but that is the one thing that all roads lead to. So you need to look at everything that you're offering and ask yourself, what are these roads leading to? Like, all roads need to lead to one signature product, because you're trying to take people somewhere, ideally, if you're building a business.
Yes. Okay. That is great advice. And I like that everything that you do ties in together. Did it take you a while to figure out that you needed to be funneling everyone in one direction?
I think it kind of organically came together as I realized that I would have things come up in my business that did not feel as easy as I wanted them to. So when you value simplicity and passiveness, well, not passiveness, but passive income and leverage, you will notice when things are out of alignment with that. So me not being able to email all my Etsy customers at one time when I wanted to send them the new update every year was against my values. And I had to come up with a solution that was going to solve that and be according to my values. And so it's any big business, if you look at it, it always started with someone solving a problem.
Yes.
And if you do not know what your values are, then you could have problems in your business, but you don't see them as something you should solve because you're not comparing them to a different reality. It's like, if you are so aware that you value simplicity, then if something in your business isn't simple, you will find a way to fix it. But if you're not aware that you value simplicity and something in your business is complicated, you just end up living with it.
Yeah.
So if you are aware of your values, you're going to constantly find yourself solving problems, and the result will always be a business that comes together because it's all kind of like vibrating around whatever values you have set in place.
Okay. That's so profound, Michelle. Now, I have a question about the SOS Club. Does everyone in the tribe go through it together? Like, if someone joins in March, do they pick up from March and then go through the year to the following March, or does everyone have to join at the beginning of the year?
If they join in March, then you just join at that point in time. It's not designed to be ideal if you joined in January. It's designed to be ideal for whenever you join. You would just pick it up wherever you land.
Okay.
The thing about the SOS Club is I started it 2 or 3 years ago. Initially, it was just a subscription where people would pay $5 a month, and I would send them 4 printables that I would come up with that month. They could be anything. They could be recipe cards, travel pages, checklists, whatever. And I ran that for a couple of years, and it was doing very well. But I realized that I was losing my passion for it, and I was considering closing it down. And I just, for some reason, could not just close it down. And then I realized that what I really wanted to do was turn it from, oh, here's 4 printables a month, to let me take you on a journey of transformation. Let me really help you take 100% responsibility for your life, because that is the decision I made all those years ago when I realized I had lived the same year twice. I realized I needed to take 100% responsibility for my life in order to have the power to create the life I wanted. And so the SOS Club, even for me, has been a journey of really realizing, how am I going to take people on this journey? It's not just about giving them some printables. It's about helping them embrace the process that it takes to change your life, because it took me a whole year. And so I'm like, I want to take other people on this year-long journey, because it does take a year. And I want to give people permission to focus on one thing at a time. So it's not about stressing out over, oh my goodness, I joined in June and I missed 6 of the habits. It's about just focusing on one thing at a time.
Okay.
And surrounding yourself with people who are also committed to taking 100% responsibility for their life. And I made a decision when I relaunched the new version of the SOS Club. So we went from just being 4 printables a month to actually being a cohesive 12-month journey. I made a decision that I just wanted to really focus on crafting this journey. So I'm not marketing it. I'm not pushing it out on social media. I'm not really telling people about it. If someone sees it on my website and signs up, great. But I realize that I am in a season of just cultivating this. I'm not in a season of marketing it. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that in business, you take so much pressure off yourself if you realize what season you're in. So if we look at nature, there's spring, winter, autumn, summer, and the world operates differently in each season, and each season sets the stage for the next season. And it's the same thing in life and business. And in business, if you're trying to plant when you should be harvesting, or if you're trying to market when you should be building, you're always going to feel like it's not working because you're not giving yourself permission to just to honor what your season is. So it's like, I'm not in a season of trying to make a lot of money with the SOS Club by marketing it and getting a bunch of people in it. Even though I'll talk about it if I'm asked to, or I'll put it up on my website for people to see. It's still a completely different energy that goes into marketing. So even with the Life Binder, creating it was a completely different process from marketing it. It was 2 different mindsets. So it's like I had switched from making this product to pushing it out there. And so I feel like business owners can take a lot of pressure off themselves if they just be like, you know what, I'm trying to market this when really I just need to slow down and create and just give myself permission to not make that much money with this and just let myself have fun making this product as wonderful as it could be. And even then, be careful not to be a perfectionist, because when I launched my Life Binder, it wasn't perfect. But I knew that the season had turned to be that point where it's time to market it. So it's like, if you're still trying to plant and it's time to market, then you're out of alignment again. So it's like letting this, you don't get to tell winter, wait, I'm not done with autumn yet. It's like, it's winter. It's time to get on with what needs to happen in winter. Like farmers have to operate according to the seasons. And it's the more you get in tune with your instinct or your intuition, the more you know what you should be doing. So even if you want to hide away and, just create your products and not worry about other aspects of your business, but really it's a time to get out there and to talk to people and to market, then, that's what you need to do. Okay.
That's so helpful, because you're right. I think there is a lot of pressure to I don't know how to put it, but to follow the terms that you're using, to do things out of season, and just realizing what season you're in can make a big difference in the results that you get, because of just trying to work, a round ball into a square. Well, no, a round ball would fit in a square box, I guess. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. So I want us to talk about the course, because one of the things I like that you do is you found a product that worked for you, and you figured out how to make it work for you. And then you turned around and you created an entire course to teach other people how to do the same thing. And it's called Passive Income with Printables. And just really quickly, what would one get from this course if they were to subscribe to it and buy the course and take it?
It is basically everything I've learned to do exactly what I've done, in as few lessons as possible. And as you know, one of the things people tell me when they take the course is they love just how natural it is. I'm not trying to be the expert. I'm not trying to be the perfectionist. I'm just saying, this is me and this is how I did it. And I'm literally only teaching what I know and what I've done. And I feel like that is something that people are craving, because so much of what's out there is just overwhelming. Like even courses that I've bought to help me get better at Etsy or help me get better at whatever skill, it's just almost like, oh my goodness, this is too much. Just tell me exactly what I need to know to achieve this one goal.
Yeah.
So if someone's goal is to make money selling printables on Etsy, that is what I teach them to do. So some people say, oh, well, will this course teach me about branding and about graphics or about this or that? And I'm like, it has a little bit of that in there, but if your goal is not to make money selling printables on Etsy, then this is not the course for you. Right. So it's like, if that is your goal, then this course will help you. And in fact, I've been able to connect with, I've never really reached out to my students and asked, how is everyone doing? Who has succeeded, and what are your results? I'm in the process of getting into doing that as I improve the course for the new year. But I have noticed people who I didn't even know were students, but I ended up finding out that they were students because I just stumbled across these beautiful Etsy stores with these beautiful products, and they were doing so well. And then I would find out later that they took the course and they had implemented the advice and they were succeeding. And one of them, her name's Amy, I turned around and hired her to do the updating of the graphics of my own Etsy store because I just loved how she did hers, and her store is up to over 500 sales. And it all started with her just taking the course and being like, I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to do what Michelle says to do. I'm not going to, make this any bigger than what it needs to be. And now she's over 500 sales into it. In fact, last month she messaged me and told me that in the prior 30 days she had made $1,000 in sales.
Oh, wow. That's like the best type of testimonial. First of all, just stumbling on other shops that you like, and then finding out that they were your students, and then to have students actually be successful. I think one of the problems with some of the courses, and I was having a similar conversation with someone else, just talking about buying a particular course and just feeling so overwhelmed because there was too much information. And not that the information was bad, there was just more of it than I could process and more of it than I could deal with. And so I was telling this person that I was just frozen because it was too much coming at me. And then to see how, with yours, I like how you're very specific and it's very focused and it's for a very particular person. And if that person isn't you, this isn't going to work for you. And for the people who have found that person is them and are implementing it and following through, are experiencing success. And I think there's such a beauty to the simplicity of that, and just, again, finding your niche, finding that thing that works for you, and it's that one thing, and that's what I'm picking up a lot from you is pick one thing, pick one social media platform, pick one topic that you want to learn really, really well and get good at, and then focus and then do it. Yeah,
it's about, I love the whole concept of take the pressure off yourself. So pick one social media platform, pick one skill, pick one audience, and just focus, because it's amazing how big your results can be by just going small. Like I can look at this one skill that I decided to get good at, which was making printables. And I decided to get good at it like 5 years ago. And even though those first few years were just me making them for myself, selling them here and there on Etsy, I slowly just got better at it, and I have been able to make a full-time income from this one skill. In fact, I was thinking about it the other day, and I realized I have made probably $100,000 just from this one skill through creating printables for clients, through selling printables in my Etsy store, and through creating a course all about how to make printables and sell them on Etsy. Yeah. The Etsy store itself, I celebrated a couple days ago. It just passed $50,000 in sales. Wow. And if you go to my store, there's only 2 products on there. There's the $21 life binder and the $41 life binder.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's really bold. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and even though I'm like, how can I take this to the next level? I'm still not putting pressure on myself. I'm just coming up with ideas and seeing which one I like. So one thing I'm going to be experimenting with is the fact that I have so many people who favorite my product or favorite my store on Etsy. And you know how if you update your store with a new item, then the people that favorited your store will see it. So I'm like, I'm going to experiment, because I do have people that ask me, can I just buy this page from the life binder or that page instead of the whole thing? And I always resisted that because I want them to buy the whole life binder. I'm not selling a printable. I'm selling a life binder. But I realized that I need to kind of go back a little bit backwards in this customer journey. It's like if I'm going to help them, if I want them to buy the life binder, then I probably should have a step that comes before the life binder where they can buy a printable, but what am I doing to encourage them to go to the next step? So I'm always thinking about, how do I get them from this step to that step to that step? And so one strategy that I'm thinking about laying in place is I will like the life binder has dozens of pages. I can take one page a week and list it on Etsy. And every week, all those thousands of people that favorited my store will see my store pop up in their feed on Etsy saying, one of your favorite stores has a new product. And I can do that every week. And that will also help my SEO, because I'll have more keywords out there that will help Etsy realize that I'm a store that keeps updated, even though I haven't had a problem with trying to do Etsy SEO or anything like that, because I use Pinterest as my primary marketing machine. But if I'm trying to work with Etsy more, I could just simply put out a new listing, not even create anything, just take a printable, a page from the life binder, put it up on my store. More people will see it. And when people buy it, I'm thinking, okay, when they buy it, if I'm selling that one page for $3, I will include a coupon in that purchase that says you can apply this $3 to the full life binder kit.
Oh, right.
So they get a taste of the life binder kit, and they can go on and buy the whole thing without feeling like they're spending more money, because they're going to just apply that coupon and get the discount that's equal to the price they paid for the one page. So it's like it's always like the next step is always there. It's like I always know what I need to do next, because I'm just looking at my own business. I'm not looking at what other people are doing. Yeah. And the more you do that, the more your marketing is always laid out in front of you.
Yeah, that's really smart. I like that. One of the things that I really like about the course, I know I've bought courses before, and then, you buy it, you pay for it, you get in there, and then you realize, oh, okay, that was just the beginning. Now I have to buy this tool, and I have to pay for this other resource, for it to work. And because that's what they say. One of the things I really like about your course is that it's very comprehensive. There's not really anything else that anyone needs to pay for necessarily. I mean, optionally, yes. Like, I know, like, you teach using PicMonkey, but then you also teach how to design using Google Docs and Apple Pages. And there's a paid version of PicMonkey, but then there's a free version too that's very robust as well. So I like that just from looking at it from the outside, it doesn't appear that one will need to spend any extra money in order to actually be able to go through it and succeed.
Exactly. In fact, the initial life binder that I made, which was $21 one, it was made entirely using PicMonkey to create my headers and Google Docs to create the templates. So I always think it's kind of funny how this file in my Google Doc library has made thousands of dollars, and I didn't need to know or learn any fancy programs or anything expensive to create it.
Very ironic, kind of, but funny.
Yeah, you don't need to do the fancy stuff. Like, I've always been passionate about using these free or very, very cheap tools and making it look like I created it professionally.
Yeah, very good. I will link to Michelle's course. It's Passive Income with Printables. So if you're interested in it, if you're that person that this course is for, then go ahead, check it out. There's lots more information and detail about what's in the course and what you get on the page, and I will link to it. If you're listening and you just want to jump there right now, it's passive-income-with-printables.teachery.co. That's co.com. But again, I will link to it. Michelle, you've been so helpful. I want to ask you just a couple more questions before I let you go. First of all, are there any resources that you use in your day-to-day business that you find particularly helpful that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Resources in my day-to-day business. I recently got the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. So even though I know that's kind of like an expensive resource, it's allowed me to basically not have to print anything again. So I've been able to download printables onto there, my life binder onto there, and it's the same experience as writing with paper and pen, because there are apps you can use to download PDFs onto your iPad with, and then you can draw on them with your Apple Pencil. So that has also opened up the idea for me of where things are going with printables and with people trying to marry writing, the need to write and the need to, like, physically write things down on paper with the digital world. So I have always went back and forth between online tools and paper, and I'm a paper girl, but it's like there's still problems that come up with that. So it's like I've had people say, what do you do after you print all this stuff out and you fill up the pages and you're done? It's like, do you throw away the pages? Do you file them? Like, what do you do? So it's like I'm already thinking about how does my love of printables and writing on things stay true to my values of keeping things simple and minimal. And I've been realizing that using my iPad Pro with that Apple Pencil and being able to write on things without actually having to print out anything or have all these papers around has been amazing for me. I use it for everything. But as far as more accessible tools, it's hard to say. It's like with clients, I definitely use Slack. I think Slack, which is a team communication platform, has been a life changer. But for everything else, I keep things so simple that I could list off basic tools. So like I use MailChimp for emails. I use PicMonkey for graphics. I use Apple Pages to create printables. But if you look at my business, it's all so simple and basic because that is what I keep coming back to.
I like that. Thank you for sharing all that. I'm a paper girl too. I love to write and like you said, print stuff out and then write on it. But there is the problem of what do you do when you're done with it? I recycle, but still there has to be a better way. So I like the idea of, I hadn't thought about using, an iPad and the Apple Pencil, but I guess that's a good way to go, huh?
It was amazing. I was like, oh my goodness, I can download thousands of notebooks and printables and it all fits in this one device.
Yeah. I got to the point where I'm like, okay, if I'm downloading like a workbook or something, I'll do the layout so I can print more than one page. And this is all just trying to conserve paper because I know, there's too much paper. Change the layout so I can get at least 2 pages on a page and then print it double-sided. But then again, when you're done, what happens? So I like
it's like you don't want to throw away your notes, but then it's like, do I really need to save this for the rest of my life?
Yes. It's like, am I really going to look at this 6 months from now? Michelle, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can reach you?
Through email. So my email is Michelle Rohr, MICHELLEROHR at secretowl.org.
Okay. And I will put a link to that, or I'll put that in the show notes for this episode too. So if you didn't get that, I will have Michelle's email address in there too. Michelle, thank you.
Sorry. Also, I just opened up a special coupon to celebrate my Etsy store reaching $50,000 in sales. So for the next month and a half until the end of March 31st or whatever day March ends on, you can apply a $50 off coupon to the course if you're interested. So to celebrate $50,000 in sales, I'm giving away a $50 coupon, and you just need to type in the code 50-YAY. So 50-YAY.
Is it
to get
case sensitive?
$50 off. Pardon?
Is it case sensitive, the YAY?
No.
Okay, so 50-YAY.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's less than $100.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I will put the code in the show notes for this episode. Again, it's 50-YAY for $50 off Michelle's course. That's Passive Income with Printables. All this information will be in the show notes for this episode. Michelle, that's very generous of you. And I'm so thankful that you came and shared your story and just how you're doing life and your business and just making it work for you. It's so refreshing to talk to you because I just get this sense that you're just comfortable doing you and it's working for you. And that's encouraging to me. And I hope to someone else who is listening to this conversation. So thank you so much for taking time today to talk with me.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.